Imagine a warm, sunny Sunday in Texas. The church bells are ringing, calling everyone to worship. Inside, the pews are packed with families, friends, and neighbors, all smiling and happy to be together. Sunlight streams through the stained glass windows, painting colorful patterns on the floor. The air buzzes with anticipation as the choir begins to sing a joyful song. People clap their hands and tap their feet to the music. Little kids wiggle in their seats, excited for the service to begin. It's a beautiful, ordinary Sunday morning, full of hope and peace. Everyone is ready to hear Pastor Ricardo's inspiring words and feel closer to their faith. Little do they know, this peaceful morning is about to be shattered by something unexpected and frightening. The feeling is light, and everyone is happy to be in the warmth of the church. Pastor Ricardo steps up to the podium, a warm smile on his face. He opens his Bible and looks out at the congregation. "Good morning, everyone," he says, his voice filled with kindness. "Today we're going to talk about hope, even when things seem difficult." He begins to tell a story about a little bird that gets lost in a storm, but never gives up trying to find its way home. He explains that just like the bird, we should always have faith and believe that things will get better. His words are comforting, and people nod in agreement. Pastor Ricardo reminds everyone to be kind to each other and to help those in need. He encourages them to share their blessings and to spread love throughout the community. The atmosphere is peaceful and inspiring. Everyone feels connected and uplifted by his message. Suddenly, just as Pastor Ricardo reaches the most inspiring part of his sermon, a loud bang echoes through the church. The heavy wooden doors at the back burst open with a crash. Everyone gasps and turns around, startled. The joyful singing stops abruptly. A wave of confusion washes over the congregation. Several men in dark jackets with the letters "Z" printed boldly on the back stride purposefully into the church. Their faces are stern, and their eyes scan the room. The happy atmosphere instantly vanishes, replaced by fear and uncertainty. The sunlight streaming through the windows now seems to cast long, ominous shadows. Children cling to their parents, and whispers ripple through the crowd. What's happening? The ICE agents march straight toward the podium, their boots echoing on the wooden floor. They ignore the frightened faces and the confused whispers. One of them points directly at Pastor Ricardo. "Ricardo Morales," the agent says in a loud, firm voice, "you are under arrest." Pastor Ricardo looks shocked. His smile disappears, and his eyes widen in disbelief. He stammers, "What? What is this about?" The agent doesn't answer his question. He simply reaches out and grabs Pastor Ricardo's arm. "You are in violation of a deportation order," the agent says. "You were ordered to leave the country years ago." The congregation is stunned into silence. Some people start to sob quietly. Others begin to pull out their phones, their fingers trembling as they start recording. This can't be happening. Not here. Not now. A wave of murmurs and gasps sweeps through the church. Little Maria starts to cry, clutching her mother's leg. Old Mr. Johnson, who always sits in the front row, shakes his head in disbelief. This is not right. Sarah, a young woman who helps with the church's social media, quickly starts a live stream on her phone. She knows that the world needs to see what's happening here. "This is wrong," someone shouts from the back. Others start to speak out too, their voices rising in protest. "He's a good man. He helps our community. Let him go." The IC agents ignore the growing unrest. They're focused only on Pastor Ricardo. They pull out handcuffs and roughly place them on his wrists. The click of the metal echoes loudly in the suddenly silent church. The shock is palpable. Tears stream down the faces of many in the church. They don't understand why this is happening to their beloved pastor. He's always been there for them, offering comfort and guidance. Mrs. Rodriguez, who relies on Pastor Ricardo for weekly visits because she can't leave her house, sobs openly. "He's like a son to me," she cries. "He always makes me feel better." Even the teenagers, usually glued to their phones, are staring in disbelief. They've known Pastor Ricardo their whole lives. He's taught them about kindness, respect, and helping others. The confusion is thick in the air. People whisper questions to each other, but no one has any answers. How could this happen? Why is this happening? What will they do without Pastor Ricardo? The happy Sunday morning has turned into a nightmare. He broke a rule a long time ago. One of the ICE agents repeats, his voice cold and unwavering. He was told he had to leave the country, but he didn't. But Maria, the church secretary, knows something they don't. She rushes forward, her face pale but determined. "That's not true," she exclaims, her voice trembling. "Pastor Ricardo has permission to be here. He has religious worker status." She explains that the church filed all the necessary paperwork years ago, and Pastor Ricardo was granted the right to live and work in the United States as a religious leader. She tries to show the agents the documents on her phone, but they dismiss her impatiently. "That doesn't matter now," one of them says. "He's still in violation." The congregation is outraged. They know Maria would never lie. Something is terribly wrong. Other church leaders step forward, their faces etched with worry. Mr. Davis, the head deacon, tries to reason with the agents. "Please, officers, there must be some mistake," he pleads. "We have all the documents to prove Pastor Ricardo is here legally. Can we sort this out later, somewhere else?" Another church elder, Mrs. Chun, speaks up, her voice trembling but firm. "He's a pillar of our community. He feeds the hungry, helps the homeless, and brings hope to everyone he meets. He would never do anything wrong." The ICE agents remain unmoved. They refuse to listen to the church leaders' pleas. They insist that they are simply following orders and that the matter will be resolved at the detention center. Their refusal to listen only fuels the congregation's anger and fear. This feels unjust. Ignoring the desperate pleas and mounting evidence, the ICE agents lead Pastor Ricardo out of the church. He walks with his head held high, but his eyes are filled with sadness. He looks at the congregation, offering a small, reassuring smile. "Don't worry," he says, his voice barely audible. "God is with us." The agents escort him to a waiting car outside. As he gets into the car, the congregation erupts in cries and shouts of protest. They surge forward, try and stop the car, but the agents hold them back. The car pulls away, leaving behind a scene of chaos and despair. The church, once filled with joy and peace, is now filled with sorrow and anger. The people feel helpless and afraid. Their beloved pastor has been taken away, and they don't know what to do. The live streams continue to roll. The videos captured by the church members spread like wildfire across the internet. Within minutes, the hashtag Free Pastor Ricardo is trending. People from all over the world are watching the shocking footage of the arrest. The videos show the ICE agents storming into the church, the distraught congregation, and the moment Pastor Ricardo is led away in handcuffs. They show the church leaders trying to explain his religious worker status and the agents' cold refusal to listen. The online reaction is immediate and powerful. People are outraged by what they see as a clear violation of religious freedom. They express their support for Pastor Ricardo and demand his immediate release. News outlets pick up the story, and it quickly becomes a national headline. The world is watching. The news spreads like a storm, reaching far beyond the small Texas town. People from all walks of life are horrified by what happened at the church. They see it as an attack on religious freedom and a violation of basic human rights. Protests erupt in cities across the country. People carry signs that say, "Free Pastor Ricardo," and "Religious freedom for all." They gather outside ICE offices and government buildings, demanding justice. Many feel that the government overstepped its boundaries by entering a place of worship and arresting a pastor in the middle of a service. The incident raises important questions about immigration policies and the treatment of religious minorities. The anger is palpable and widespread. Everyone wants answers. Other religious leaders from different faiths speak out against the arrest. They argue that churches and synagogues and mosques should be safe places free from government interference. "It doesn't matter what someone's immigration status is," says Rabbi Cohen, a leader of a nearby synagogue. "A house of worship should be respected." This was a terrible mistake. Imam Ali, a Muslim leader, echoes those sentiments. "We must protect the right of everyone to practice their religion without fear," he says, "What happened to Pastor Ricardo is unacceptable." Many religious leaders organize interfaith prayer vigils to show their support for Pastor Ricardo and his congregation. They stand together, united in their belief that religious freedom is a fundamental right that must be defended. They want to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. The religious leaders' concern grows. They worry that if the government can arrest a pastor during a church service, then no one is safe. They fear that this could set a dangerous precedent, allowing the government to interfere with religious practices whenever they see fit. "This is a slippery slope," says Reverend Johnson, a local minister. "If they can do this to Pastor Ricardo, who will be next? We must stand up for our rights before it's too late." People begin to question the government's motives. Why did they choose to arrest Pastor Ricardo in such a public and disruptive way? Was it really about a past deportation order, or was there something else at play? The incident raises serious questions about the separation of church and state and the government's respect for religious freedom. A sense of unease settles over the nation. An avalanche of letters and phone calls floods the offices of senators, representatives, and even the White House. People from all corners of the country demand that their leaders take action to release Pastor Ricardo. Children write heartfelt letters, drawing pictures of Pastor Ricardo and asking why he was taken away. Adults share stories of how Pastor Ricardo has helped them through difficult times, providing food, shelter, and guidance. The phone lines are jammed with calls from angry and concerned citizens. They urge their representatives to investigate the matter and ensure that Pastor Ricardo's rights are protected. The pressure on the government intensifies. People are making their voices heard. They're not going to let this injustice go unanswered. Every call and letter is a small act of defiance. A team of dedicated lawyers steps up to defend Pastor Ricardo. They work tirelessly, poring over documents and gathering evidence to prove that he has the legal right to remain in the United States as a religious worker. They interview church members, gather testimonials, and track down old immigration records. They build a strong case, arguing that Pastor Ricardo's arrest was unlawful and a violation of his religious freedom. The lawyers argue that the ICE agents acted improperly by arresting Pastor Ricardo in the middle of a church service, ignoring his valid religious worker status. They present evidence showing that Pastor Ricardo has been a law-abiding and valuable member of the community for many years. Their determination offers a glimmer of hope amid the darkness. The legal battle is on. The community wraps its arms around Pastor Ricardo's family, offering them unwavering support. They organize meal trains, providing them with home-cooked meals every night. They help with childcare, taking care of Pastor Ricardo's children so his wife can focus on legal matters. Prayer vigils are held every evening outside the church. People gather to pray for Pastor Ricardo's safe return and for justice to prevail. They sing hymns and share stories about how Pastor Ricardo has touched their lives. The support extends beyond the church community. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers offer words of encouragement and donations to help with legal expenses. The outpouring of love and support is a testament to the impact Pastor Ricardo has had on so many lives. The community stands united. The arrest of Pastor Ricardo ignites a national debate about immigration, religious freedom, and fairness. People on different sides of the issues voice their opinions passionately. Some argue that the government was simply enforcing the law and that everyone, regardless of their background, must follow the rules. Others contend that the arrest was unjust, given Pastor Ricardo's religious worker status and his contributions to the community. The debate spills over into the media, with news programs, talk shows, and social media platforms buzzing with discussions about the case. People share their personal stories, experiences, and beliefs, creating a complex and nuanced conversation about the challenges and complexities of immigration and religious freedom in America. The nation is grappling with difficult questions. Was truly fair? Weeks turn into months, and Pastor Ricardo remains in detention. His absence is deeply felt by his family and his church community. Sundays are no longer the same without his inspiring sermons and warm smile. His children miss their father terribly. They write him letters every day, telling him about their schoolwork, their friends, and their dreams. His wife struggles to keep the family together, juggling work, childcare, and legal battles. The church members feel lost without their spiritual leader. They continue to hold prayer vigils and support Pastor Ricardo's family, but their hearts are heavy with sadness and uncertainty. The empty space at the podium is a constant reminder of what they have lost. Hope begins to dwindle. After countless hours of legal work and unwavering public pressure, a judge finally agrees to review Pastor Ricardo's case. The news sends a ripple of hope through the community. The lawyers present their case with passion and precision, highlighting the evidence that supports Pastor Ricardo's religious worker status and arguing that his arrest was a grave injustice. They emphasize his contributions to the community and the devastating impact his absence has had on his family and his congregation. The government's lawyers argue that Pastor Ricardo violated immigration laws and that his arrest was justified. They present their own evidence and arguments, attempting to defend the actions of the ICE agents. The courtroom is tense as both sides make their case. The fate of Pastor Ricardo hangs in the balance. Hope is renewed. After carefully considering all the evidence and arguments, the judge delivers her verdict. The courtroom is silent as she speaks, every breath held in anticipation. Based on the evidence presented, she says, "I find that Pastor Ricardo Morales has the legal right to remain in the United States as a religious worker. The previous deportation order is deemed invalid." A collective gasp of relief sweeps through the courtroom. Pastor Ricardo's family bursts into tears of joy. The lawyers exchange smiles of triumph. The judge orders Pastor Ricardo's immediate release from detention. The news spreads like wildfire, igniting celebrations in the church and throughout the community. Justice has prevailed. The long ordeal is finally over. The day Pastor Ricardo is released is a day of immense joy and celebration. People line the streets, waving flags and holding signs that say, "Welcome home, Pastor Ricardo." When he arrives at the church, the entire community is there to greet him. They cheer, they sing, and they shower him with love and affection. It's a scene of pure elation. The church is decorated with balloons and banners. A huge feast is prepared, with enough food to feed everyone. People hug Pastor Ricardo, telling him how much they missed him and how grateful they are to have him back. That Sunday, the church is packed to overflowing. People come from far and wide to hear Pastor Ricardo preach. The service is filled with emotion, gratitude, and renewed hope. The long nightmare is finally over. Taking to the podium, Pastor Ricardo is visibly moved by the outpouring of love and support. His voice trembles with emotion as he begins to speak. "Thank you," he says, his eyes filled with tears. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your prayers, your letters, your support, it all made a difference. I could not have gotten through this without you." He expresses his gratitude to the lawyers, the church leaders, and everyone who stood by him and his family during the difficult ordeal. He reaffirms his commitment to serving the community and spreading the message of hope, kindness, and love. "I will continue to be your pastor," he declares, his voice strong and clear. "I will continue to serve you, to guide you, and to help you in any way that I can. Together, we will build a better future for all." The community erupts in applause. The story of Pastor Ricardo serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of treating all people with dignity and respect, regardless of their immigration status. It sparks important conversations about the need for fair and just immigration policies that protect the rights of everyone. It also underscores the vital importance of religious freedom. People of all faiths should be able to practice their religion without fear of government interference. Churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples should be safe havens for all. The community's unwavering support for Pastor Ricardo demonstrates the power of unity and the importance of standing up for what is right. It's a story of hope, resilience, and the triumph of justice over injustice. The lessons learned will resonate for years to come. The importance of religious freedom is clear.